Okay, welcome back. This is another episode of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. I'm Easy.
I'm beard number 1.
And I'm beard number 2.
Oh yeah, summer edition.
Behind the computer over there, our guy Avery. It's we've had a little bit of a layoff, but we come back to you today with a very special guest, Daniel Groom, who is a junior going into his senior year, tennis player here at UNCW. The young man's from Australia and has quite an interesting story, and we'll kind of get into that with him today. Ask him a few tennis-related questions, and some big news just came down the wire for him as well. He was selected to participate in the Oracle ITA Masters that will be held in Malibu, California. So that sounds like a lot of fun, and we'll go ahead and maybe dive into that.
Harper to get it in, throws it to Ewing. Ewing surrounded, 2 seconds to shoot, he drives, he shoots, he missed! He missed! He missed! We ring the bell, baby! Ding dong, the witch is dead!
Takes the ball at the 30, he's hit, got away, back upfield to the 35, to the 40, he's to the 45, he's to...
Hawktalk. Right away, you can kind of maybe just tell us how you feel about that and kind of what that means to you. I know you're the first tennis player here at this program to ever get that invitation, so kind of a big honor. You can kind of start us off there if you want.
I'm excited about it. Came unexpected, but my mentor actually, Scott Webster from App State, he went to the tournament a few years ago, and so I've kind of just been talking to him a lot about it. So I'm really excited.
Pretty cool. I mean, it's every conference gets one representative, and so you're the representative for the whole CAA, not just UNCW, but the whole conference. And you get to go out there and kind of, put the conference reputation on the line. Is that added pressure, or is it kind of, you're going to be in Malibu, it's pretty chill out there too. What are the thoughts going through your head?
No, not pressure. I kind of feel, because it's just come out unexpected. So they went from the UTR, which is the Universal Tennis Rating, which mine used to never be that great. I would always try and get it up, but I was playing 5 and 6 down in the bottom of the order. So it was hard to get it up, and then I made a huge jump this year. So never once did I ever think about it. So now the fact that I'm in the tournament, it's kind of, there's no pressure there in a way, which is nice.
So it sounds like you're pretty excited though. Have you been to California?
We went to San Diego last year, played some matches out there, but I never really got to see any of it because we'd travel, we'd practice, we'd play, we'd move off. I've heard Malibu is one of the best places in America, so it's going to be great.
It's pretty for sure, yeah. Let's, you mentioned some of your tennis accolades here. So, you've completed 3 seasons with the Seahawks. You're going to be a senior leader this year on the team. You've been playing the whole time you've been here, so that's pretty cool. You didn't really have to come and, take a back seat to anybody. But like you said, your first couple of years, you were kind of in the bottom 3, and last year you kind of made the big jump up to the kind of the top 3, right? Towards the end of the year, you were the number 3 guy.
Yeah.
What was that transition like coming from, playing at the bottom? Now you're one of the guys on the team.
We obviously there's a lot of older guys earlier when I came in, and what I was looking for in the program was I wanted to come where I could play down the bottom and then work my way up, because I can learn off the other guys for what it takes. But I'd always try and bank myself down the bottom, and then I put in a big summer last year up in Boston. I was working up there at a country club, but like I said before with my mentor, we had a big summer, and I came back in September and I felt like a new player. So I knew I could, going into January in the season, I felt confident that it was going to be fine.
So maybe let's take us back kind of to maybe the beginning. I know you were born in Australia, Tasmania. Not something that too many Americans are that familiar with, but kind of take us back to maybe your early days in Australia. What kind of got you into tennis, and maybe like some early influences that kind of pushed you maybe in that direction?
Okay, so my family doesn't have a tennis background. Not many Americans know about Australian rules football. Completely different than rugby. completely different than American football. It's just a new sport. So that's kind of our biggest sport. So I play a bit of that, a bit of cricket, a bit of soccer. I did this when I was 6 or 7 years old, I think, like a little camp for tennis, and I didn't like it. And then my brother was in that camp and he enjoyed it, so he started taking private lessons. And at about 8, 9, I'd go and hit my dad while my brother was taking a lesson and loved it. Got into it, not too serious, and then they just took off.
So you think you then ended up overtaking your brother when it came to the skill in tennis? Does he still play today? Or?
No, I mean, he only played when he was
little?
Yeah, 12 or 13. So it was kind of just an intro for him. He's more into the arts, drawing, that history, which is great. And then I'm more the sporty one in the family.
So tell us a little bit about Tasmania. I know just reading about it and looking into it a little bit, there's some things here and there, but tell us from your perspective, what were some things that maybe were big differences for you when you got over here that maybe not that frustrated you, but things that were maybe a little different that it took you a little bit to get used to?
Yeah, culture-wise, it's actually not too much different. So, I mean, I know I'd find it hard if the languages were different, which I came in and it was fine. So it wasn't too hard to adjust. But, I mean, the lifestyle is different. Wilmington's obviously a big college town, and there's nowhere in Tasmania that's like that. So it's kind of more secluded. So getting used to how everything runs through the college was different. Wouldn't say it was bad. I mean, it was just an adjustment. Mm-hmm. There's not too many negatives.
Yeah, do you see some because I believe you're from Hobart?
Yeah.
Now, is there similarities? I know it's kind of a big port town, right, or a big port city. Now, I know you probably don't get around Wilmington as much as you'd like, but do you see any similarities in the two towns where, you're right by the water here? I would assume you were right by the water there, spending time at the beach, stuff like that.
It's definitely really relaxed. And then you go anywhere else. I've noticed even here, that's a little bit different. But that's why the adjustment wasn't too hard, because you're going into a place that's kind of similar, even though it's different countries. But that was good.
So then maybe too, let's go back to, I know you've worked with some pretty famous Australian tennis coaches and maybe even mentors for you at a young age. I know one name that kind of jumped out to me, correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but Simon Ewell.
Perfect.
Now, so I know he was a former pro, late 80s, early 90s, played in every big Grand Slam tournament there was. And tell us about that relationship and kind of maybe working with him and how that got you maybe to the level you're at now to where you could come over here and play college tennis.
No, I mean, for sure, he's probably had the biggest influence on my tennis, I think. I've worked with him since I pretty much started and took it seriously, which is 10, 11. Every trip, state trip, national trip has been with Simon pretty much, so he's been there throughout the entire time. So yeah, he loves his tennis, and I think he loves Hobart as well, even though he's travelled around. So he takes a lot of pride in his kids. His son plays, Tom, so I grew up with him. He's the same age. And there was a good bunch of kids that were my age that came up through the tennis ranks, and Simon was just there throughout. So,
you think that was his success was a big influence then on what the tennis culture became kind of in Tasmania?
Sure, yeah,
in Hobart?
He's had a huge influence. I definitely wouldn't be here without him, so I appreciate it.
So tell us then too about, I know you won some big tournaments when you were in high school over there and went to, I can't remember the name of the high school now, the academy that you went to. Now, those tournaments that you won over there compared to what you're doing now? Obviously, you're in college now and you're playing college tennis. Do you think those tournaments and winning at a young age kind of set you up to have success now that you're over here in the States?
Yeah, no, for sure. Being in Tassie, I mean, there were different events, but it wasn't huge. So the National Schoolboys tournament in Albury in 2016 that I won was a pretty big breakthrough, which set me up over here. I mean, it's completely different here in terms of the individual compared to team focus. So I'd never been in a team-focused environment for tennis. It was always individual. So that's probably the big difference there, but for sure, the individual tournaments back home helped.
Walk us through then kind of, UNCW coming on your radar as you're getting, to your senior year in high school. What are the other options that are available to you, and what kind of pushed you in this direction?
The recruiting process went pretty quick, actually, surprisingly. So the options were pretty limited in terms of if I stayed in Australia or in Tassie specifically, it would have been harder to really get somewhere with my tennis. I wanted to go pro, and still do. But just Simon's great, but the structure with all the players, they kind of drop off. So it was either I move to Melbourne and fully go with my tennis, come to the US and play in the college system, which it's insane. So that was always pretty much the only option unless I wanted to give up on my dream. And then the degree, obviously, it's just the added bonus in that.
So does Coach Dubois reach out to you? Do they travel to Tasmania?
So obviously there's a lot of results on the internet that they're recruiting. Alex Weatherall, the assistant, he does a lot of the recruiting here. So he reached out to me. You put a video up of you so that they can get to see your more technical stuff. You Skype videos. You start off with email or Facebook messages. Mm-hmm. Then you Skype, get to know them face to face. They get to know your personality. It's all results based.
Not a lot of money in the budget to travel out to Tasmania, I imagine.
Yeah, that'd be tough. So it's risky, but that's why it's so hard to create a really good team, because if you're not seeing the person in person, you're kind of taking a flyer on them whether they're going to turn out really good or not. So.
Well, it's kind of like half the team, right? I mean, you got guys from Brazil, Argentina, South Africa, Europe, all over the place. Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess the same thing before they get on campus. You've never met in person, is that right?
Yeah, so the Skype's important. And then, the results are huge. If you can't put up results that the coaches can see, then they can't take the risk on you. So.
Had you been to the States before?
No, I never left Australia, so first time coming here.
Wow, so what was that like then? I mean, now, were there other schools that were kind of interested in you coming over here, or was it kind of Wilmington and then you kind of maybe tunnel vision on them, and because they were interested, you kind of stuck it out with them, or was there other options on the table for you college-wise?
No, I had a few options, but really... Yeah, UNCW offered everything that I wanted in terms of a program. The area obviously looked really nice. I heard great things about it. Looked like the roster was building. Coach told me I'd probably be around the 5-6 mark at the start, which is what happened. But that's where I wanted to be, so that worked out as well. So a lot of offers actually came in after I'd signed, which is weird. They trying to get me out of the commitment or... But there are a few options. UNCW is always going to be on top though.
Well, it was almost like UNCW did the work on you, and then all these other colleges were like, oh, okay, well, if they're going to offer them, might as well too. Okay, so then let's go back to the Australia thing then for a second, because I'm really interested about Tasmania and just that whole culture for some reason. I don't know why. But tell me about then when you got over here. I know we talked about, Hobart and Wilmington having some similarities, but tell me about some of the language things now, like just the slang and the difference. Like I heard you say Tazi?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So is that like,
Tassie's
that's
just
like
short.
saying Tasmania pretty much, but
It's kind of like Wilmy, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
Wilmy, Wilmington, yeah, but just the Tassie version.
oh, okay. So, and also then too, the food, that's a big thing for me, food-wise. Now, what kind of seafood is over there compared to like the seafood that you eat over here? Like the differences, or what culture-wise did you kind of get into over here that you maybe didn't see over there, or things that you were maybe looking for over here that we just don't have?
With the seafood, it's a lot fresher. Seems a lot fresher back home. I don't know what you guys do with the fish, but
Yeah.
it always seems to be a little bit tougher. But the food was interesting, like at Dubs and at WAG, just seeing the differences. No, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it just seems a lot fresher, just in general. Yeah, I don't have anything else.
I understand what you're saying though.
Yeah.
Do you have any local favorites now? Sweet tea or Bojangles, barbecue, anything like that jump out at you over here?
Yeah, so I mean, Cookout's great. Cookout's huge. And then I've actually gotten into bagels.
Okay.
Like it's not big in Australia. You just have sandwich, you just have bread. But bagels, I love them.
Yeah.
Get one every day.
Really? That's something new for you over here?
Yeah. So honestly, it seems simple.
You go to Einstein's or?
Einstein's,
Yeah.
Beach Bagel, or Round.
Uh-huh.
That's probably the best food I've had over here, to be honest. So,
Bagels.
bagels.
That's awesome. Hey, that works though. So you're gonna have to. Now, I know you said your goal ultimately would be to go pro. So kind of walk us through what that would kind of look like for a college tennis player, right? To where, you play your 4 years here, and then what would that transition be like? Would that be maybe you going back to Australia and working it there, or would it be kind of staying in the States, and how does that transition work?
Yeah, so obviously college is becoming probably the number one option now to get a training base and then go pro. So John Isner went, Steve Johnson, like a lot of the top guys now are actually former college players. That's a good question. I don't know yet. That's something I've got to work out. I'm going to judge it more halfway through the season. I could stay here and have Wilmington more as a training base. Stay in the States and play the Challenger tournaments, futures, and try and get my ranking up before I go elsewhere. Like I said before, I could go to Melbourne. I have contacts out there. Kind of the same thing, just go around Asia Pacific. So yeah, I mean, I have options. Probably traveling into Europe and stuff isn't there yet because it's too expensive. But definitely stay in the US for the first year or back home.
Let's talk about a little bit more here at UNCW. So, I mean, you got here at the right time. I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but, first 2 years, conference champions, NCAA appearances, you were able to participate in that second one against Tennessee. Last year, right there in the conference finals, and Elon was able to edge it out. I imagine going into this season, the goal's got to be, again, a conference championship and, maybe make some noise in the national tournament, no?
No, for sure. Yeah, so the first 2 years were unreal. We had brought in 8 freshmen, actually. So it was a completely new team. And then we had William and Mary in indoor school, indoors, in the final, which normally it's outdoors. So a bunch of freshmen playing an indoor team indoors in the conference final. Like, it doesn't sound like it's going to work out. But we did it, and then went to Wake and found out where that
the
level
number one
was.
team in the country was. Yeah.
That was rough. But I mean, we were still freshmen, so it was good learning. And then the year after, it was great through 19-4, I think, record. So that was really nice. Tennessee, we actually had a huge shot against. We won 3 first sets. So really, it only came down to 1 point. Could have been a 4-3. And then this year, we set our goals a lot higher. We were looking for Sweet 16, whereas the previous years it was more of a conference goal, and then see where it goes. We destroyed Elon during the season 6-1, which at the time was good, but maybe in the long run that wasn't. Got to conference final, and really it came down to, we had match point in the doubles point, and then lost the doubles point, went down 1-0, won the next 3 singles points. So realistically could have been a 4-0. But Elon came back, good on them. So this year it'll be going back to that conference goal, I think, and then don't try and get too ahead of ourselves, see what we can do in nationals, but conference will be the goal.
I think certainly obviously winning the conference is doable based on the recent results. And I think, Sweet 16 might be a bit ambitious, but, once you get there, you win one, and
yeah,
who knows?
We had a building team, we continue to grow as a team from freshmen. We're now juniors, a lot of us. So, the goal is there because we know what we're capable of, but just didn't work out that way.
And then you mentioned kind of the differences between kind of being a more team-oriented versus individual-oriented. We talked at the beginning. You're going off on your own to the ITAs to start the season. Year over year, you've shown improvement just yourself. And I think this year, big loss in Severino won't be here on the team any longer. But I imagine you're going to be the first person that wants to fill that role and be in the top 2, no?
For sure. Yeah, that's the plan.
So no reason you guys can't keep that momentum going.
Hopefully it'll be a good season.
Tell me about, here on campus you've got the bird cage, right? Is that where everyone comes to watch the tennis matches? What's the atmosphere out there like? What are the facilities like here compared to, you mentioned, William & Mary's an indoor school. You've been out to California to some of those other schools. What are some of these other facilities like compared to UNCW now that you've been here for 3 years?
Obviously the top-notch schools, Georgia's facility is insane. Wakes is ridiculous. So you can't compare it to that. But, the courts are quick here, which is something that I don't like. There's nothing I can do about it. I can handle it. I can play on it. But going to Elon, I absolutely love because the courts are really slow. I'm not a big guy. I just run a lot of balls down. So I love the Elon courts. We went to San Diego. In terms of the structure of the facility, it's the same. It's just a different style of court, really. So San Diego was great. It was really slow. But then you go indoors and it's really quick. So there's a lot of things that people that don't play tennis don't know. Different courts obviously suit different people, and it really depends on how you like them. But Elon, can't get over that. The courts are unreal.
So take us then through, I know, like Mike had said, there's a lot of, the team is really cultured, which I think is really cool. There's guys from all over the globe that have kind of come together and built a contender in the CAA. Now, what is it that Coach DuBose has done that has kind of allowed you guys to find this success really from the beginning? And, you guys have pretty much been top team in the CAA since you arrived on campus. What is it that he's been able to do that's kind of unlocked this ability in all of you guys to kind of play well together?
I think having a lot of internationals helps us out a lot. Not the tennis side of it, but just the living side of it. We all are in the same situation. So maybe if I was living with a bunch of Americans, it's fine, but maybe I feel more pressure or I don't connect as much. But just having everyone around is nice. You said we're losing Goose earlier, which is huge character-wise. Marshall Waren's not playing this year. He's actually a Wilmington kid. He's huge character-wise. So a lot of what we've been, how we've been successful hasn't been on the court. It's we've been like a family off the court. Maybe a lot of other teams aren't. Coach has been really good with setting what our goal is really. So we lost the 2 conferences before the new bunch of freshmen came in, which I was in. So he knew what his goal was and he knew how to get there. And just kind of resetting. So he's been really good at getting the guys to get on board with that.
Do you guys all live in the same dorm freshman year? Do you still live together now?
Yeah, so freshman year we're all in the same place. We're at Camden Forest. Didn't get to live on campus. And we're all living together. Maybe we're spread out, but yeah, we're still all together.
So what's that experience been like for you? Just kind of coming over here and just being thrown into the fire kind of and having to do your own thing and kind of really, I'm sure you understood what that all entailed already, but was there anything that was kind of, like, oh, I got to do my own laundry now or stuff like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just kind of coming over and having to just be thrown into the fire as an adult and as a young man right away.
It hasn't. It's been fine. I was like really scared actually coming over. I didn't come over with family or anything, so had to settle on my own. But I had been on plenty of trips on my own to go over to the mainland from Tassie earlier when I was 12, 14, 16 to get me kind of semi-prepared for what was to come. So I was kind of already mature enough to handle it, which is nice.
You get back there at all to Tassie?
So I did at Christmas time and trying again this Christmas. So it's summer over there at Christmas time as well. So
it works
nice
out well.
weather. Yeah, it's perfect.
Well, so yeah, and where you're from over there too, it's another similarity really to where we are here. You guys don't get much snow over there, right?
No, not at all. Maybe a little bit in the mountains, but
yeah,
it's pretty nice.
So those winters over there would you say these winters over here have been a little colder than what you've been used to, or is it just really similar?
It's very similar actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winter-wise, very similar. Summer, like same temperature, just different heat. It's a lot drier in Australia. It's very humid over here. So, but not too much of an adjustment.
One other thing I'll mention, just the tennis team as a whole won a community service award for the whole North and South Carolina last season. I think, some of the weather occurrences here in North Carolina might have contributed to that. I mean, just talk about kind of, we talked about the tennis and all that, and talked a little bit about coming to school and all that stuff. But when you guys are helping out in the community as well, what's that like, especially not being from around here?
Yeah, so, I mean, we pride ourselves in that as a team. During the hurricane, obviously a lot of people were harmed by that. So we packed off to Charlotte, and obviously there's not too much to do if you're just there doing nothing. So we went in and took some phone calls for Red Cross, try and help out. I mean, there's a lot of people around here that help us out that we don't know about, that we don't know the names of, but we know they're out there. And we kind of don't have anything to reward or, like notice those people. So it was just nice to try and help out maybe some of those people that were hurt in the hurricane, and kind of just thank them for everything that they do for us as well.
That's really cool. I didn't even know that. That's awesome, man. Then kind of maybe just a little bit of a preview then going into this year. Now, so my question is, so with the ITA that you're about to go to, now does that really will be the first tournament to kick off your senior year, or does that still, is it considered part of your junior year?
No, that'll be...
Is it kicking off?
That'll be my senior year,
It'll be kicking off
because I came in January, so it'll be 3.5. So technically, I actually don't know.
Because, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is it like the end of the season kind of tournament that they do, or is it officially kicking off the next season? Because you guys don't start playing
Until
here
January.
until
Yeah, in January is the start. So.
Yeah, so
But you play there are fall events though, correct?
Yeah, we have 4, but they're more individually.
Okay.
Like they're
And then the
individual
team
tournaments.
stuff really starts in January.
November we have a dual match here, team match, but it's not. It's just it's a practice match.
yeah,
Just
it's
to
like
get ready.
exhibitions.
Yeah.
Not okay. Kind of like preseason.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
but it's senior year. I think it is recognised as that, and in my head it's senior year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because you've already the season's over. Your junior year's over. It's
Yeah.
kind of you're ready to take that next step.
And January is where it starts. So
You set to graduate in May.
yeah, so I'm. That's why I'm staying over the summer, taking a lot of classes. So I won't do the full for my 4th year. I'll end up graduating in 3.5.
Because you said you got here in January, so you
Yeah.
missed fall of your freshman year, I
Yeah.
guess, right? Okay.
And
Cool.
graduated in December, straight over, which is what I wanted. I didn't really want to have that 6-month layoff from school. You guys graduate in August.
Gotcha,
We graduate
gotcha.
in December. So
Okay.
That's crazy, man.
That is. Well, and you're a finance major too, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I can only imagine that along with tennis, that workload and that
it's a lot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Tell us what that's kind of been like, and obviously you've been to school before, and you went to school in Australia, but when it comes to workload and just the material that you're studying and working on, was that kind of something that was maybe even a little overwhelming in the beginning when you first got here, just trying to figure out that balance between tennis and schoolwork?
Definitely. That's probably been the biggest adjustment is my organisation, and that's improved a lot. So kind of a typical day would be classes in the morning, 9 to 12 maybe. We try and get some individuals, private lessons in with the coaches rather than teams, so you can work on more individualized techniques. 12 to 2, somewhere around there, just for an hour. So you get an hour break somewhere in there, and then practice from 2 to 5, lift or work out from 5 to 6, and then straight to the lib for some study, like maybe 7 to 9. So there's not too much free time in there, but it's all fun. Just having to organize everything out has been tough.
And I would assume that now, like you said, going into your senior year, it's probably a little easier than it was when you first got on campus.
For sure. I mean, you get used to it.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely.
for sure.
I'll have to ask our mandatory strength bend question. You brought up the conditioning and strength training. How's that go for the men's tennis team?
No, it's good. Kyle's great. He's our strength and conditioning guy. Very motivated. So the fall, we try and get in there a lot, get stronger. I'm always sore. There's not one day that I'm not coming out sore. And then the spring's more relaxed because of matches, so it's more about recovery. But no, it's great.
How's that compare to anything that you experienced in Tasmania? Is there anything quite like that?
No, that's why the college program is so much, better than everywhere else. It's just you're full on the entire time, and you're getting help through it, and there's no way out of it in a way. Like, if you're training that much, it's easy to mentally check out and just give up. But just with the structure around how it is, you can't and you don't want to either. So it's great.
So then maybe a couple American questions, right? So I know obviously you're a big tennis guy. Have you been getting into American football, or even, let's say basketball, since, we have a pretty good basketball program here as well. Has there been some other things that have kind of Americanized you in a way with sports over here?
I'm a huge NBA fan, massive. That started before I got here, but obviously being here, it's grew a lot. Football, not too much. The college sports is the biggest thing. I never followed that at all before coming here. And now I love, March Madness is great. And then even the college football is really good. So definitely that with the NBA.
Who's your NBA team?
Chicago Bulls.
Really?
Which is not great right now, but
yeah. Well,
Carolina kids now.
Yeah.
we got Kobe White, so we're all good.
What got you into the Bulls? I take it while you were over in Australia. What got? I know maybe Michael Jordan,
Derrick Rose.
but
Yeah.
was it MJ?
No, just only Derek Rose at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when I started, he was obviously in his prime. I just watched 1 or 2 matches and some highlights, and I'm like, yeah, that's the guy I love. So,
Is it kind of hard to follow the NBA over there to where, like, I mean, I would assume there's probably cable packages or things that you can get on TV to where you can watch them, but is that something that's kind of difficult to keep track of over there? Or?
yeah, and the time zone difference as well. So a lot of the matches are happening at 5 a.m. or whatever time it is. So a lot easier over here.
Have you been able to go to a game since you've been over here?
Been to one. I went to Orlando against Milwaukee this year with Giannis.
That's my team.
You're a Milwaukee fan?
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Really?
Milwaukee, yeah. Oh, I'm a big Milwaukee fan, and he won MVP last night.
I'm disappointed in that, so.
Oh, are you?
I'm a Harden fan.
Oh, you're a Harden fan?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Was that game in Orlando
Yeah,
at Amway? Was it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty big arena, huh?
It's huge.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, what was that experience like for you? I take it that was kind of your first experience into like a big time
Well, that was
American
great, yeah.
sports event.
Definitely different. The energy was incredible. Obviously, Giannis brings a lot of intensity, so
Oh, yeah.
it was good. Good team bonding experience too. So
Oh yeah, the whole team went.
yeah, so we're in Orlando playing a bunch of schools down there in January.
So then too, with that, just the Australia connection too. When you growing up in Australia, I know you know Tasmania is kind of an island over there, and you said you had trips over to the mainland. Now, growing up, were you ever able to go to like the Australian Open or stuff like that over in the mainland while you were younger, or?
I traveled a lot earlier. Like we love camping, my family and I. So Australia is great for just backpacking around. And, so we'd take 6 to 8 week trips over to Western Australia, up to the Northern Territory. You know, explore. I've actually never been to the Australian Open before, so definitely need to do that when I go back. But yeah, seen a lot of Australia, which is nice.
Well, maybe your first time going to the Australian Open will be playing in it.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be great.
That would be. So tell me, like I said, I was kind of fascinated with the whole Tasmania thing. So I was reading some interesting things like a good over a third of the population in Tasmania is in that Hobart area, right? So what the hell is in the rest
There's
of
nothing.
Tasmania?
Alright, so Hobart it's obviously the port, mountains around, and then up north there's like Launceston and Burnie up top, and then there's just paddocks in the middle. It's just grass, open land. It's not used. It's just
nothing?
That's crazy.
And so, like, when you say nothing, like just desert grassland?
Literally,
Or?
it's just grassland, and there's a few towns, obviously. It's just a road with paddocks with maybe some sheep and cows just grazing in there. So there's literally nothing.
Really? So kind of like driving through, Kentucky or Ohio or Indiana over here,
Yeah.
just...
No, literally, it's the same, yeah.
Yeah, really? Yeah, that's crazy to me. Because when I read that, it just... So there's a lot of people then in Hobart, in that little area, to where, like tell me a little bit about the city. Obviously, I read that it was a port town and, surrounded by mountains not far from it. So tell me a little bit about just the culture over there and just some things that you kind of experienced when you were younger that maybe kind of molded you into who you are today.
Alright, so I'm from New Norfolk, which is 40 minutes out of Hobart. It's very small on the river. It's a very old town as well, so not too many kids coming out. But it's very relaxed. I was on not a farm, but I was on 10 acres of land, so more of a country lifestyle. And then as you go obviously into the city, that changes, but it's only 40 minutes away. So I got to grow up in different ways, sort of. So
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both, which is nice. Get that the city vibe and the country vibe at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So very relaxed.
It's pretty similar to a lot of areas in North Carolina. Even Wilmington's not a huge city, I'd say, but if you live out in
Leland or
Burgaw or something like that. You can get some real country out there, and then half an hour you're in Wilmington. And
I suppose it's like, if you're living 45 minutes out of Raleigh or something like that, it'd be pretty similar. So,
So what are the beaches like over there?
Very cold.
Very cold?
No, the water's so much warmer here, but no, they're nice. There's plenty too. Tassie, it's all right. You go up to Queensland, like Brisbane, Gold Coast, and those type of places, and beach is ridiculous. So
stuff you read about in magazines. So what was then? I know we kind of touched on the hurricane and some of the great stuff that you guys have done in the community the last couple of years. Tell me about that experience for you. I'm not too sure. Do you guys get hurricanes over there to where it's like what you experienced over here? And if not, then kind of tell me what that experience was like for you and just how you kind of were able to just wrap your head around what was going on.
It was definitely different. No, we don't have hurricanes or anything like that. So we get bushfires is probably it. That's the only thing that you're worried about in terms of like storms or anything. We were in Georgia and we were playing a tournament, and I was actually in the final of the tournament, and I'm talking to my coach, and coach is like, all right, we're going to have to go. We're going to get everyone that's out of the tournament to go home because there's this hurricane coming. So I still didn't know what was happening. Like at the time, I was kind of unaware.
Playing a final.
Yeah, and then I played the final, got off the court, and my assistant coach is like, all right, like we're going home. I think we're going to have to evacuate. Just pretty much jump off the court into, all right, we're evacuating for a hurricane. It was interesting, but the team handled it well, which is nice. I lost my apartment, which is not great, but that wasn't too bad. It was all right.
Did the team go to Charlotte, you said? Is that kind of where...
Yeah, so we have a teammate. One of my teammates is from Charlotte, and their family helped us out a lot. They put all of us in, so...
And then you come back to find your apartments flooded or
underwater.
Underwater.
Yeah, and then move into another apartment. Well, I didn't lose anything, just the apartment.
You don't have much anyways, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good then. I mean, that, I guess, kind of a bright side to that situation is that you didn't lose a lot. I mean... Yeah, I know for a lot of people, it was kind of an eye-opener, especially for a lot of kids on campus that have never experienced something like that. I can only imagine what was going through some of your minds. I mean, not being from here, it's kind of like a regular thing yearly down here, which you probably kind of gathered now to where, every year there's those warnings or those signs of something bad happening. And, 9 times out of 10, it never happened. So I think locals were kind of, but then when it does happen, it's devastating. But glad to see everybody kind of made it out of that good. But so then maybe just a little preview then going into this season. I know you guys probably got big expectations. I know you guys got plenty of award winners on the team coming back. You in Austin, I believe Bruno as well is coming back.
Rookie of the Year, I think. So,
I mean, I wouldn't think winning the CAA is out of the realm of possibilities. I would think that would be your goal going into the season, and then maybe for yourself, maybe some personal goals you may have going into this year.
So I think everyone, we're losing 3, 2 seniors, Josh and Goose, and then we're losing Gio, the Brazilian. He's going to transfer. So, I mean, we're bringing back 9 guys, and maybe we'll add 1. So it's a similar team. I know Elon are losing a lot of their guys. It's going to change up the team. James Madison will be good this year. So it's going to be tough, but I definitely think that we're good enough to win again. Individually, not too many goals, to be honest. I just care about winning conference. That's pretty much where I'm at. So I'll just try and contribute as much as I can to that.
Is it possible, based on the schedule and whatnot, to set as far as the team goes, to set yourself up for kind of an at-large bid to the tournament if you have a great record and say happen to lose the conference tournament? Is it still possible to still
No,
play?
definitely. So I think maybe our second match we play Southern Cal, who are a top 10 school. So I mean, if we pick up wins over quality teams, then our ranking's going to jump up. So that definitely. That's a possibility. We were looking at that this year as well, so I'm trying not to focus so much on that and just kind of take it at conference.
Right. If you just win all the matches, then that's you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah,
right?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, then
That's good.
that'll be the easiest way in, right? So then too, I know you got to be excited about heading out to Malibu. So I know that that's at the end of this month, or is it
Late September.
late September? Okay. So when that happens, then now is that something that you'll be going out there pretty much by yourself, or is one of the assistant coaches or head coach going out there with you to kind of be a cheerleader, or is it something that you're kind of on the plane and you're heading there?
No, I'll have a coach with me. I think that's NCAA rule maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but
no, I think you're right.
I don't know who's coming with me. I don't know if Coach or Alex will come, but definitely have someone there. And then I'll have Josh, the senior, graduated. He's actually living out there now, so I'll get to see him, which will be nice.
Oh, that's pretty cool then. That's cool. So have I know obviously I'm sure you're in contact with your parents on a regular basis now. Are they able to come over here really and see you play, or is it something that like they have to check you out on what I think some tennis matches are broadcast? I'm not 100% sure, but have they been able to watch you so far yet in college, or?
No, so they haven't come over, so it's been, I've been here for 2.5 years. The last match they watched online, I played really bad, and then I went home and played a tournament there and had another horrendous match, and since then they've been like, I think we're bad luck for you. So funny story, at Georgia last year, I've really wanted them to watch me again because I've improved a lot, and I told them the time, and they were watching. And I was playing a guy that was really good, and I was 2-0 down maybe at the start, and then I started playing ridiculous tennis, and I ended up winning like 3-3, something like that. And in my head, I'm like, yes, my family has finally seen me play a really, really good match. And I ring home, and I'm like, did you watch it? And they're like, no, at 2-0, I thought that we were bad luck, so we turned it off.
Wow.
So no, they haven't seen me play in a long time.
Well, so that might be a good thing then, huh?
Yeah. So
Just send him a highlights video at the end of the
Afterwards,
year.
yeah.
But yeah, I think there's live streaming at Malibu, so I'll try and get them to watch that.
Yeah. Now, do you know who you're playing yet in that first? Have they come out with like the seating or anything, or they've just
I
done the
think
invitations?
That'll come out sometime in September. So
Okay.
yeah, just the invitations at this point.
I think you play a mixed doubles too. I think with the CAA female as well, because I think we had a girl in it.
We had Madara 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She was really good. So.
Yeah. So that'd be cool. Yeah. So you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah. No, that'll be a little bit of fun. I mean, I don't think that would be too serious.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like I'm going to be mentally too serious about it. I don't know about the other guys, but...
Well, and I was looking too. It seems there's every year, it's obviously based on the conference, but it looks like there's been several, at least North Carolina within the state colleges that have been represented over there, whether it's been a young man from UNC Asheville, I believe, last year.
Justin Patton, yeah.
Guy from Elon, too, was in it actually 2 years in a row, 17 and 18. Probably the guy you're talking about that just recently graduated. But, so I know a lot of people will be tuned in and pulling for you. So
yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you.
Anything then from you, when we put this out, anybody will be able to listen to it. So if there's any shout outs or anybody you want to say hello to, the floor is yours.
No, I just shout out to my team. That's where it's at. So, but thank you guys. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you. This is another successful episode of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. Thank you, Daniel Groom. Stay tuned. We'll be back. Thank you.